now entering the Horror Sanctum.
Hello, and welcome back to the Horror Sanctum podcast. I'm Jay with John, Kellen, and TJ, and I want to play a game. No, not shoots and ladders or Ticket to Ride. I'm referring to a game of life or death, one in which you have to decide how much you truly value your life. Honestly, it's a good thing I'm not playing that game today, if I'm being honest. But if you three would take a second and reach under your chairs and get that envelope that I had placed underneath. I'm just kidding. That would have been pretty badass, though, wouldn't it? So, if you haven't figured it out yet, this week we are talking about the 2004 classic Saw, S-A-W, directed by James Wan. You know this movie, right? There's been 11 sequels, 10 sequels, nine sequels, I guess. No, so Spiral. So, yeah, 10 sequels, which
And
is insane.
Jigsaw.
Yeah, so um, you know this movie. I'm not going to tell you what it's about because you know I'm not going to tell you you're going to hear spoilers because if you haven't seen this movie, you're not a true horror fan, period. We're just going to dive right in. So, uh, I would argue, and I never always forget to show it, I would argue this is a classic. And I graduated in 2002, dating myself, but I wasn't aware of indie horror back then, right? Like we probably saw it, and by that point, at that point, it's probably shitty sci-fi movies and straight to DVD, straight to video movies. So when I saw Saw, and I believe I saw it in theaters, I hope I did. It just kind of struck a chord with me because it was so different, because it's so simple. I would imagine James Wan had the room that you see in my background with Carrie Ellis and the other guy. That was probably the entire film, and then he sprinkled the scenes in between to put the story together. Um, so it was just very visually, I'm gonna say odd. The coloring is very dark, and it was just something that was just so new to me, um, and I instantly clung to it. Now, there's some people who've been on the show that run a certain convention in Alcoa, Tennessee, that this is his favorite franchise. This should be no one's favorite franchise because as Kellen learned, well, Kellen, you watched one through four today. After that, it gets very, very muddy and it kind of turns into torture porn. Not to say that this one isn't, because it is kinda, but it's a little more dialed back. But this one did so well, they're like, hey, we got to cash in. So they continued to make them. First two, I like two a lot. Three's okay, but after that, the main character, the cop, I just kind of lose interest, and they kind of start to blend together. But Saw 1, the OG, the original, stands out about above all the other ones, right? One of the biggest things is our villain, and I say that in quotations, our villain, Jigsaw, Mr. John Kramer, an anti-hero, right? I would say, and I think I've answered this before, I know I've done it recently on Facebook. Um, if there was one killer who was right, or one killer who you could, you know, connect with and understand their logic, it would be John Kramer and probably Pamela Voorhees. I would throw her in the mix, just avenging her son. But John Kramer is such an interesting character because all he wants to do is the same thing we all want. He wants people to be held accountable for the shit they do. It starts with directly affecting him in a way. And as the movies progress, it's more and more just shitty cops, shitty people. Um, I think another thread I've seen, and we may have been a part of it, is like, what horror movie could you survive? What horror movie, what horror franchise would be the easiest to survive? I think a lot of people would say Saw, and I feel like Kellen, in my head, you said just don't do anything bad. I feel like you said that. I may be wrong. Someone has said that I know, like just don't do anything bad, just don't be a dick. And I was thinking about that today, and I'm like, yeah, but someone in your family or someone you're close to could be a dick. Example, I would be fine in Saw, but I wouldn't be because Kellen's my best friend, and he would get me into some shit. You know what I'm saying? So I think the answer to that is Jaws. By the way, I think Jaws is the easiest horror franchise to survive. You just stay out of the water, right? But back to John Kramer. I've had a day today, so like watching this kind of made me feel good. It was almost like that feel good movie. Like, okay, screw you guys, you get what you get. Um, so I really, really like the character of John Kramer and how he evolves over the franchise. I think the series ends up going 1, 2, 10. Is that right? Like after everything's said and done. I don't know if anyone else has seen all of them besides me or maybe John.
I
I
think
know
that's how the
10.
new continuity is, kind of like the new Halloween
Yeah, it's like
trilogy. Because
Halloween, like 1, 2, H2O. I'm pretty sure I may be wrong. 1, 2, 10. 10 was great. I like that one a lot. But John Kramer's the man. And to create a villain who's so intelligent and sneaky, and I wouldn't say he plays dirty, but the way he does his games reminds me of in elementary school. I don't know if you guys ever had this, but one of our teachers, you would get a test, and they would say, "Read everything on this test before you fill anything out." And you would write your name, and then you start answering. You get down to the bottom, it says, "If you filled anything out besides your name, you fail." That's John Kramer in his games. If you listen, if you do what you're supposed to do, you can survive. It's going to suck. You're going to dig something out of your arm or you're going to cut off an appendage, but you're going to survive and have your life. I don't know how scary the movie is. The scariest part's the pig mask, I think, and like hiding in closets and shit. That's very terrifying.
and
Uh,
and they do like a sound, uh what do you call it? Like a buzz sting. They do a sound sting that sounds like a pig
yeah.
gasping whenever they jump out the pig mask. It's
And the little
terrifying.
doll that's over Kellen's shoulder is creepy too. His little creepy giggle is a little creepy. Um, but I enjoy this movie a lot. What another thing to have a franchise like Saw that has lasted as long as it has and to be pretty redundant overall, you have to do some things right. And I think John Kramer's character is right. The reverse bear trap, I think everybody's been obsessed with that since they've seen it. We finally get to see it come to fruition later in the series. Someone actually does get murked by it. But one of the other things that makes this a classic to me is the quote, "I want to play a game." So I looked it up after I thought about it. I'm like, it's right up there with, what's your favorite scary movie? Or here's Johnny. So I just Googled most famous horror movie quotes, and Collider has this out of 20. What number do you think it is? I want to play a game. Everybody take a guess. 1 through 20, one being the most iconic.
Probably number three,
Four,
seven,
four,
One. They
one.
had this
one.
at number one. Now, do I agree with that? Not necessarily, but I think it's definitely top five, and I think all you guys answered within the top five. So that's another thing that has stuck because we say that in random, times in our lives, right? We just say, I want to play a game. What's your favorite scary movie?" Like that a line alone has helped make this movie iconic. I have a couple knocks. I don't I don't know how y'all are going to react to this. I'm more worried about John than anybody else. One of my biggest knocks about this movie is Danny Glover. I love Danny Glover. I fucking hate him in this movie. I hate his voice, especially after he gets his throat sliced and he's like, got that lisp with a little bit of liquid behind it. I can't stand it. The other thing I didn't like was the grindhouse like chase scene with Zepp and like it's just them in the car and they're just on, machine making the car move. It was so sped up and odd. I understand what they were trying to do there, but it just kind of took a little bit away from me. It felt out of place. Also, Zep, ZEP, was that his name? Or Zeb? I can never remember homie's name. He always plays a good bad guy. Always, from Lost to Evil and a couple other things sprinkled in between. He plays a great bad guy. I would like to see more of him going forward, but it is what it is. So yeah, um, new start to the podcast. Me going first. So that's all I got until I can chime in on the rest of you guys. What about you, Teach?
I want to play a game. Um, I used to practice and I want to play a game. I'm rusty. I can't do it now. Especially can't do it with both my ears plugged up. But I used to prank call friends when the Saw movies were kind of early and just attempt my worst version of the Tobin Bell voice. But man, I love this movie. It's definitely the best of the franchise by far. I mean, most first are. for the most part, but this one especially. To me, I just consider this series a trilogy. Like I really like the first three. They're a little bit diminishing returns after the first one. Two, I still really like a lot. That one pit scene with the needles always gives me the cringes. But I like the idea of him gradually conscripting people into his like weird cult of he's almost like a weird horror Robin Hood where he's like, he has some sort of moral code, right? But it's kind of twisted. I do think once they got kind of, even in the second and third one, they gradually, as you said, Jay, got more and more into the torture porn, because that was, I mean, the year after Saw 1 come out, Hostel comes out, and Hostel 2 comes out as they're fully into yearly Saw sequels. I liked the tradition of it for a while, where every sequel would come out around Halloween in the theaters. And this thing really become a cult phenomenon that went mainstream. I gotta think it's one of the highest grossing franchises, because after the first one kind of had moderate success, it really got word of mouth on DVD.
Well, they even, they released it at Halloween all the time. That's what helped them make so much money. But they always said, if it's Halloween, it's got to be Saw.
Right.
That was always the tagline they had every fucking year. They just kept churning those bad boys out.
And they did that for the first 7, and then they took a big break after that. But yeah, I always look forward to that, even though it was diminishing returns. And really, after they started doing the whole thing with the cop, like you said, Jay, I just got so confused. I just lost interest, and I never watched past number 6.
He's also not likable on any level.
No.
If you look back at the franchise, and even almost every character to some degree has some likability for the most part. I think in 2, the one jock guy, he doesn't count. But that cop that they introduce is in 3 or 4 movies fucking sucks. He's
terrible. Yeah. I think, if I recall, and I've only seen 4, 5, and 6 the one time I saw them in theaters. I haven't went back and rewatched those. I've rewatched the first 3, all of them. And I've seen part 1 probably 4 or 5 times over the years, the most. Recently rewatched it, having not seen it probably in 10 years or more at this point. Going back to rewatch it, I'm reminded of a lot of those stylistic things that they did in early to mid 2000 horror things, like a lot of jump cuts, a lot of flashes, which I hate all the flashy photography and stuff. But I think I just had come at that point in time to just be used to it, because it was in literally every horror film, whether it was an indie cheapo or a big budget. They were all that way. And spinning heads. They like to do the spinny head thing, like, oh, this is cool. We can speed up the camera frames and make it look weird. From the late 90s up to the mid 2000s, every horror film thought that was cool. And every rock music video that wanted to be cool thought that was cool. And I guess they couldn't fast forward frames before 1998. So had to show their new technological prowess with that. But the whole concept of this has always been weird to me, because my cousin used to have these terrible, like, night terror dreams. And it would be about a guy who would basically do what Jigsaw does, except he would be the subject of these things. And he would tell me about these elaborate, like, traps and stuff. And that's why it was so weird when I heard the plot of Saw. And I don't think I saw the first Saw in the theater. I think I saw it on DVD after hearing word of mouth. And then everyone after that through 6, I saw in the theater on release week. That was my first impression, was, oh, this is like my cousin's dreams he was telling me about for years. Like, and then I was like, is my cousin Jigsaw? Which was weird for a little bit. But you don't really see much of Tobin Bell in the first one, is what I was struck by rewatching it this first time. And you just kind of barely see him. But man, the end, the end of that when he just sits up, takes off the makeup, and you realize he's been just laying there pretending to be dead for the whole duration of the film, which is about 8 hours worth of time based on the
How does he
plot
not have to go to the
show.
bathroom? How does he not
Right.
have to take a piss? Maybe he does and you just don't
Watch
notice. but-
3.
I
He
don't
explains it
remember
in
three.
He basically gave himself an injection that slowed his heart rate and his muscles down so that he could lay there without having to really breathe.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew he had to have drugged himself or something. I just can't remember all the little there's in the Saw franchise, there's more retroactively going back and what do they call that when you go back and you retroactively change the story?
I think.
A lot of
Retcon.
retcon, yes.
Yeah.
There's more retconning in the Saw franchise, I think, than in anything because they killed the main protagonist and 3 movies in and still made 14 movies. So you kind of have to retcon a lot of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I like that this is a smaller film. I think it's cool that Lee Winnell basically is one of the main co-stars, but he wrote the story with James Wan before anybody knew who James Wan was. And this kind of created, basically, without this film, there's no Conjuring franchise, right? Because you wouldn't have had that whole, they cashed in on their success from Saw and created their whole own little world out there now, which is cool. And I'm with you, Jay. I don't really like Danny Glover in this, but I know attaching Danny Glover and Carrie Elwes was what allowed them to be able to finance this film, which I think it was fairly cheap and done on a low budget. But I remember when I first saw Tobin Bell, and I couldn't tell it at first because he's got the shaved head mostly in this film. But I was like, that's that weird pawn shop guy or record store guy from Seinfeld. What's he doing killing all these people? Because I was a big Seinfeld mark, and I still am. It's still my favorite TV show ever. And
I know what character you're talking about now. That's pretty funny.
yeah,
I didn't think about that.
he comes over the counter and like tries to go at it with Kramer, which he's John Kramer in this movie. I would love a parody with like where it's just Kramer's Jigsaw. That would be awesome. But I don't have a whole lot to say about this other than the fact that I love the ending. I think it's very well paced. You can definitely tell in the editing and some of the stylistic things that it's a 2004 movie that's a little more dated now than I remember last time I rewatched it. But I think that gives it a little bit of charm because it's not overdone. It's just kind of when they decide to ramp up the action scenes. And I honestly think that was a device for not having to show a lot of the action, just kind of like in the kill scenes and stuff, you can just kind of shoot past to the end and just get a sense of it without having to really be overly gory. And you can kind of trick out effects that way a little better too. So as a plot device and just to keep the budget cheap, it was probably a good way to disguise the budget a little bit. But I still think it's the concept of Jigsaw, and I wish the arc of the character had not had him dying of cancer from the get-go, because I don't think this was meant to be a franchise. I think it was meant to probably be a one-off with a killer ending. And in some world, I like to think that it was just that one movie, and we don't get this whole franchise, even though I do like the first 3. But what say you, Johnny boy?
I saw this in '04. I think I rented it with my friend. I think it's from Hollywood Video, like a lot of movies. We didn't know anything going in. It was like totally new experience. At the time, I think I liked it at the time. It was really cool. I've watched it a lot over the years. Watched it again yesterday. And yeah, I'm not a fan at all of this fucking movie. Don't like it. I think the thing about this movie is it's kind of representative of everything about horror films that I don't like. It's the exact thing. When someone says like, "What do you not like about horror?" It would be something like this. It would really be something like Cannibal Holocaust, but it would be also something like this. Something that's just complete, all about the shock, all about the gimmick. As I'll just preface this by saying, this first movie, yeah, it's a good movie. I'm not gonna be an asshole and be like it's a bad movie. No, I get it. It's a good movie. It's not a bad movie. I think the thing about it is it just got ran into the ground. I think if this was one movie and it never had any other sequel, I might be a little more positive about it. You know, it's kind of like
it would get a Criterion. If this was the only movie, it would have a Criterion.
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like something like a High Tension. I think if High Tension had 10 sequels, I'd be like, oh God, enough already. I think with this, it just turns into this death game gimmick, kind of like the Final Destinations did, kind of like a lot of those movies did. I get it. And it's very 2000s. It's very of that period. The character of John Kramer is like, I'm sorry, guys, but I cannot absolutely disagree more than everything y'all have said so far. He is such a fucking prick. Like, okay, you have cancer. Big fucking deal. Big fucking deal. So you decide you're going to play God for everybody else and make everyone else's life a living hell. And by the way, the irony of this guy saying he's a hero and he's doing something, but he's actually killing people is like the biggest joke of the whole franchise. I mean, what a fucking asshole. We all got problems. It doesn't mean you could kidnap people and fucking murder them and kidnap people's children. Like, what a fucking prick. What an asshole. Fuck John Kramer and fuck all of his stupid fucking plans, okay? And let's go ahead and let's get into this too. He's sitting on the floor the whole fucking movie, right? So let's just assume he plans this whole thing out. He takes a muscle relaxer and he's like, I'm going to sit in this floor. And then in about 4 hours, I'm going to get up and I'm going to say this cool line. And then they're going to be like, what? That's the dude? How fucking dumb is that? So he just somehow knew how to time that muscle relaxer that he was just going to wake up and everything was going to be okay. And also, and then let's go back.
He shit his pants 10 times with the muscle.
Yeah, he also in the movie, the other guy, there was one guy who woke up early.
Yeah.
So he said he'll have to adjust the dose. So that was before. So he did. I will say he probably knew how much to give himself after testing.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, well,
you know.
Well, let's take the what's Lee Winnell's character's name? Adam.
Yeah.
Adam. Okay, so he wakes up in the bathtub, right? It's hilarious. He's got the key there the whole time, which is believable in the sense that like he wakes up, he's like, the key goes in the hole. Okay, so they just worked this out. They just worked this out to where Zeb puts him in the bathtub, places him there, and he's like, oh, he's going to wake up right when I put him in, and then I'm going to turn the lights off, and it's all just going to time perfectly. Okay, what if he fucking drowns right there? Like that is the dumbest fucking idea. Like when you break this script down, if you read this out, this whole thing is so fucking stupid. Okay, and then you get the electrocution sounds where they're like strapped and it does the buzzing. That's not what electricity does. That is like basic elementary education shit. That does not exist. That's like something out of a Looney Tunes cartoon. So like when people revere this movie like it's a genius movie, I'm like, are we seeing the same movie? Because this shit is stupid.
I thought John was going next, not Kellen.
Oh, I'm just gonna let it ride, man. I mean, I think
you haven't had a rant like this in a while. It's due. I'm here for it.
I just don't understand how. I guess I don't understand why this movie is held in the regard that it is, because there's parts of it, I would say that it's fair to say it's a good movie, but there's so many things about it that are just bad. Like Cary Elwes. Okay, why is Cary Elwes always such a fucking weirdo in every movie besides Princess Bride? Why is his accent always weird? Like, what is this? Who is this guy? Like, he's like the weirdest dude on earth. Every time he speaks, he's always got this odd accent. His acting is weird. Like, what is that?
I was going to say, he's not a great actor, but he's a beloved actor, and it doesn't.
He was great in Black Christmas.
Well,
which is a classic.
I wouldn't know because he was. I don't even remember. But everything you see him in, he's not great.
No.
He is an average actor at best.
He's mid, the
gonna win.
definition of mid, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even if he's mid, I agree with
Right.
that completely.
But it's classy because he's British.
Well, he's not even doing a British accent. He's doing a terrible American accent. And he's he's doing this weird, I don't know, it's just it's very 2000s, like the jump cuts, the cinematography.
Robin Hood Men in Tights, he was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, that's his best movie.
Okay,
Yeah,
he's
his
fine.
best movie.
I'll give you that. He's good in that. That's a fun movie. I mean, but there's so many things about this movie that are just pure luck and chance. That like all of it is pure luck and chance. And you're telling me that this guy who's a cancer patient, who's like on the verge of dying, is gonna like take out a cop and then slit Danny Glover's throat and like be that much of a badass? Like, really? I mean, he's not fucking John Rambo. He's just some asshole who was in the hospital who decided he's gonna play God for everybody, and now he's all of a sudden fucking unstoppable. Like, and like I said, if this was one movie and this shit wasn't beaten into the ground, I might be able to be a little more forgiving about this type of stuff. But I am just so tired of hearing and seeing and thinking about this motherfucking franchise. Like, I seriously, like, what's next? Are we going to bring back Hostel? Are we going to bring back all this shit all over again? Like,
They
are we
are
going
bringing back Hostel as a TV show.
Are we just
Eli's directing?
Are we just repeating 2000s torture porn? Is that where we are? Like, I know that I give A24 shit, dude. Okay. Hereditary, Midsommar, leaps and bounds better than this. Leaps and fucking bounds better. Death of a Unicorn, any A24 movie I can think of, leaps and fucking bounds better than this movie. This is
Talk
like,
to me. Whoa. Talk to me.
no,
That's
not Talk to Me.
A24.
I would say Talk to Me and go to hell. That one's still go to hell. But I just think that there's something about this is if you live through it, which we all lived through it, we remember how this was beaten into the ground in the 2000s. This was everywhere. PR, marketing, this shit was pushed. The only thing this wasn't was in McDonald's. This shit was everywhere. And by the time 2008 or 9 rolled around, unless you just loved to be like tortured, this shit was old. We were all just like, enough. And it's like watching this all again, it's almost like a wave of bad nostalgia hit me. I wasn't expecting it because I think in my mind, I remembered how I kind of liked it at the time and rewatch. I just got mad as I watched it. I was getting madder and madder. I'm like, God, this is stupid. And then the end of it, he gets up and he says the line. And I'm like, I think for me, like, I can forgive a movie when they do dumb shit if it's hyper realistic. Like even Frailty, there's weird things in Frailty, but Frailty, even though it's serious, it's also got this tone to it that's like kind of not real. So to me, that's just I love that movie. Frailty's like amazing. Something about this just, God, it really rubs me the wrong way. And when I think of James Wan's films, I don't even put this in the top 3. I think Malignant, Insidious, Dead Silence, way better than this. I would
assume you didn't like Malignant for some reason.
I actually warmed up to it. I think Malignant is like
That's
one
a wild
of those.
movie.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of so bad it's good movies.
I forgot about Dead Silence. Dead Silence is great. I have that one over there on the shelf.
Yeah, I mean,
forgot he did that one.
So I can't fault someone for liking it. I just think that there's so many things about it that are so ridiculous. And me now watching it, I just can't help but notice all this silly shit. And the electricity thing, every time that happens, I'm like, what is this, like sponsored by Acme or something? Like, what the hell? Like, it doesn't.
Where's the anvils? Where's the anvils?
I understand that Hollywood is ran by a bunch of really stupid ass people who don't know anything. I understand that. I get it. But I think it takes like 30 seconds to Google how electricity works and what would actually happen. Like, or even back then,
Google was still new in the early 2000s.
Read a book. Shocker. I mean, like, it's not hard. I mean, I just don't understand I sometimes don't understand how scripts get made and shit gets through and people don't notice this stuff. Like,
I didn't notice it until you brought it up, but it's very like haunted house electrocution, right? Like when you go to a haunted house, like
I don't know. I didn't want to be harsh, but I just something about this just rustled my jimmy so hard watching this again. And yeah, the big twist at the end, he gets up, game over, he shuts the door, and then the bastard lives like however many more movies, and then he gets a stupid ass cop to take over for him, and then they say that the Amanda girl, it's just like, what? Really? Like, how about you just worry about curing your cancer? How about you worry about dealing with your cancer? Go home, handle your life, be nice to people, and don't fucking play murderer. How about that? How about that for an alternate idea? So yeah, that's all I got to say. Not a fan. I will shut up now.
So, hi, my name's Kellen. I'm one of the hosts of the Horror Sanctum podcast.
That was not him speaking just now.
Yeah, 2004 Saw, hour and 43 minutes, 50% on Rotten Tomato, and the second highest rated Saw film, behind Saw X with an 81%, which is shocking because it drops off after this one to where Saw 6 is a 39, and then the rest are in the 30s until you get to Saw 4, which is 18, Saw 5, 13, and then the last Saw 3D, Saw the Final Chapter, Saw 7, whatever you want to call it, 9%. You know how bad of a movie you have to make to get below double digits on Rotten Tomatoes? So, can't wait till I get there. Like Jay said earlier, I've watched the first 4 Saw movies. I'd watched the first 3 when they came out, and I will echo John. When this movie came out, I liked it. This. Yes, it is a product of its time. The early 2000s, on the whole, action horror, the shaky cam jump, the Matrix style whip around where the camera pans around them, the fast movements, the sped up film, that is a product of the early 2000s. We'll never be able to get past it. So at some point you have to look at the nostalgia for the movie and take away, because like I said, Mission Impossible 2 is possibly the worst of those movies, and I still love it, even with the terrible bike chase scene that is so ridiculous and over the top. The dove in the cave after he blows the door off that makes no sense. Why did he have it in his pocket? I know Tom Cruise is a magician through Scientology, but I mean, did he just ta-da? The hair, the whole thing, the whole aesthetic is awful and doesn't fit with the whole Mission Impossible franchise. But that was a product of the time. That was the movies that they were making because people were responding to it, just like this one, which I will say, I hate this movie for one simple fact. It brought torture porn to the mainstream. There had been other movies like it. There had been other movies that had done worse. August Underground came out in 2000, 2001, which that whole movie is hot shit directly from an ass. And you will not convince me otherwise. I know we had a great guest on for another episode, but you cannot convince me that there's anything beautiful about that worthless piece of shit that was put on film and put in people's eyes. Whoever made that just wanted to fondle women and pretend like they were torturing people, but didn't want to go to jail. Didn't want to be a 48 Hours Mysteries. So, all that to say, this movie, for me, did more to hurt the horror genre than it did to bring it up. Movies like Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Scream, for the slasher genre, for horror in general, that you kind of opened people's minds to what they could do. It was kind of like Citizen Kane opening people's minds on what you could do with a camera. It didn't have to be 2 stationary cameras and 2 shots per scene. You could be higher or lower. You could shoot from different angles. Saw opened people's eyes to the fact that, oh, we can push boundaries now. We can make movies like The Human Centipede from 2009, a Serbian film, 2010, The Collector, 2009, The Collection, 2012, Hostel, 2005. We can make movies where we put, and don't get me wrong, I love The Collector. That's probably my favorite film from this genre, just because I enjoy the story and the way it plays out, where, you know, some guy's trying to rob a house and come to find out that there's a serial killer in the house, and now he's trying to save the, anyway, I digress. This movie made it okay to be violent. And what I mean is, yes, there's movies that I love that have violence, like The Collector, like the Terrifier movies. But there's an entertainment value to some of those. There's a story that goes beyond just how violent can we be before it's too much. The 3 Human Centipede
It's violence
movies,
for the sake of
Yeah,
violence,
yeah.
right?
It's what can we do to be shocking? It used to be eye stuff. It used to be, oh, got stabbed in the eye. That's now it's, oh, we ripped their penis off and then forced them to eat it, and then ripped their arm off and used the nub to do stuff to. It's we got away from there being a purpose to the movie, if that makes sense. Like even in this one, which does not, for me, it doesn't stand up the test of time. And here's what I'll say to John's defense. This is absolutely a movie that if you go into it for more than entertainment value, if you start actually thinking about what's happening in this movie, you just get more and more angry. John Kramer is not a hero. He's a masochist who decided that he wanted to play God. Yes, there's the justice thing that we don't feel right now. And 2025 is a horrible year to try to talk about people that should come to justice, especially with what's going on in Texas right now, the political landscape. I can see how somebody could be frustrated to the point of wishing there was some kind of Robin Hood like vigilante going around and exacting justice on people that are just shitty human beings doing shitty things and getting away with it because they have money, status, whatever you want to call it. But John Kramer isn't a hero. What he's doing is exacting revenge on people because he's angry. And you can twist it however you want. He's mad that his life's going to end. And the reason I say that is if you watch the first 4 movies, when you get to 4, that's when you find out that he basically pushed his wife away because of this crusade that he wanted to be on. So was he really appreciating the life that he had? Now that you've gone further down his story, you've gotten more backstory. Yeah, he lost a kid. That was horrible. Finds out he has cancer. Gets in a car wreck. But the car wreck makes him decide, oh, I need to go kill or put people in predicaments where they're most likely going to die. The guy in the cage with the razor wire, how is he supposed to theoretically escape that in a way where he would survive? The guy in the bathtub, we find out later that the girl threw the key on his chest and she was just basically killing people, so she didn't set it up. But if you just watch this as a standalone movie, he was never getting that key. It goes down in the bathtub within the first 5 minutes before they even understand the predicament. He puts people in situations and gives them just enough to understand that they're in a life or death game, but not enough to understand what they should do. And my issue with the whole principle is we'll take 2. We're talking about 1, but we'll take 2. Donnie Wahlberg's character is watching his son in a predicament where his son is going to die if he can't get to him. Forget that he's a shitty cop. Forget that he's a bastard father. He still loves his kid. He professes that. And you're telling me that, oh, you just follow the rules of sitting here and talking to me and your son will be fine. As a father, do you think that you're going to be able to just sit there and talk to a psychopath for 2 hours and not lose your mind while you're literally watching your kid die or with killers on screen? No, that you're setting people up for failure. And that's a lot of what he does throughout his time in these movies is he sets people up for failure. Or puts him in a situation like he even in the first movie with the girl, he said inside the body of that dead guy, the guy's not even dead, so he made her kill him, which makes you a killer, John. You killed that man by her. He never had a chance to try to escape, to try to do anything except lay there, basically paralyzed until she stabbed him to death to get a key to save herself. So this whole altruistic, I don't kill, I despise killers. I want to play a game. I'm not a killer. You killed a lot of people. The detective running down the hall, you set up a booby trap designed to fucking kill somebody if they came after you. Danny Glover's character, you tried to kill him. Granted, he makes it until Zepp kills him, but this altruistic idea where he's setting people up to appreciate their life, bullshit. You're setting people up to die because you're angry that your life is ending. And if they do get out, which the girl got out, does anybody else really escape? I mean, the son technically does, but the son didn't do anything wrong, and the son was in, and he's going to be wounded for the rest of his life in 2. when he comes out of
Cary
that safe.
Elwes, I guess, does. Well, later, but
Well, technically, yeah.
Yeah,
He had to
later.
cut his own foot off. And sorry, Cary Elwes, I love him. I think he's great in in my mind. But like I said earlier, he's not a great actor, and he's terrible in this when he's, blood loss, and he's like, "I'm gonna go get help." I'm like, "Is this the ghost of Christmas Past? What are you doing?"
he's like shaking the cuts.
He already had jaundice. He just cut his foot off.
I know.
Well, and he's like, "I'm gonna go get help." Well, if he does live in the later movies, which I'm pretty sure he ends up showing back up again, right? People. So did he send back help? Because we get to see that cell 3 more times in 2 different movies, and that guy is dead as hell.
Well, we won't spoil
And
it.
his
You gotta
body is
finish
still
the
there.
franchise. You gotta finish.
Yeah, this is all Saw. So, but and another thing, Zepp. He has Zepp poisoned with the intention of killing the doctor's wife and innocent child if he doesn't escape by 6 o'clock. How more twisted and psychotic do you have to be? So yeah, he's messed up in the head. You can't convince me otherwise. Yeah, it's violent Robin Hood, but it's violent Robin Hood if Robin Hood was stealing from the rich.
Thanos wasn't that fucked up. Thanos wasn't that fucked
Yeah,
up.
Thanos even said that this is for
Thanos
the
was
good
right.
of humanity that's left. There's not enough
Right.
resources. I'm saving you by doing what's necessary to say. Yeah, Thanos is 100% better than John Kramer. This franchise is the Fast and the Furious of horror. They cranked these movies out every year for the first 6. 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A new Saw movie. 7 came out in 2010. And then you skip all the way to 2017 because I guess they probably realized people were getting burnt out, and plus it got a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it wasn't a great movie. But it's like John said, at a certain point you're just bored with it. And I watched the first 4 films, and now I'm like, well, I got to get through them being a completionist because I've started down this path, and I want to see at least how whatever story they've written, and they do a good job of callbacks. I will admit that they do a good job of trying to tie things together with callbacks to other movies and making it like almost a cohesive story. And it's just at a certain point, I don't care because this is the problem ultimately with the whole Saw franchise. Unless you are behind Tobin Bell's John Kramer character, there's nobody to root for in these movies. And especially like y'all touched on, when the cop takes over in 4, one, he looks like an asshole. It's going to be hard to root for somebody who just already gives off douchebag vibes. And he's supposed to be, he's supposed to be our new anti-hero, the person that we're supposed to be rooting for moving forward. No, you screwed up there. That was terrible casting. So whoever decided that should be the guy.
Keep watching. Keep watching.
Well, I know I've seen part of 5 with the other detective. I won't spoil anything for people that maybe you're just like, hey, I just
fuck
watched
that.
Saw
It's
for the
the
first
Saw
time.
franchise.
Well, when he's in the box and the room starts to close and he's like, game over, and the guy's like, and he squishes him. I've seen that. But you want the person to be likable.
Right.
The girl that survived, and I'll come back to that in a second, but the girl that survives in the first one to become, you find out that she was his accomplice moving forward. She was in on it in the second one, and she's, supposed to be his protege in the third one. She's wholly unlikable. There's not a part of her where you're like, you know what? I hope she figures this out. I hope she gets it. No, screw her. I hope she does, and I'm glad she did. When he gets his throat slit like that, and that was another thing. Okay, I'm getting into too many movies, but here's my biggest problem with all of this, and it's my biggest problem in any kind of movie where there's one person who's like in Hostel. This is a lot of rich people paying for these experiences, so there's money being pumped into it. Did John Kramer have a smelting shop somewhere where he could make these devices out of metal? Because these are contraptions that you don't just, oh, here's that jaw splitter that I found at Ace Hardware. Oh, there's the knife contraption that I was
Where'd
looking
he
for
get
at
that
Walmart.
fucking costume?
Why did he even bother with a costume? Well, he's got the hood, and then let's use a pig mask. That'll be creepy. Who cares? You're
Oh,
drugging
man.
people and putting them in situations where they're 99% chance gonna die. Why are you worried about having like a hood? And even in the first one, it doesn't matter. You can't see the guy's face in the floor. It's covered in blood and gore until he rips the stuff off. So why did he have to have a little hood on? Like, I didn't know who it was. Granted, when I first watched this movie, I would have put it up there with Sixth Sense as far as plot twist. That moment when he gets up, because you're watching it as for just fun entertainment, you've never seen anything like it, and then he and that music picks up, and you're, oh my God, he's been in the room the whole time. It's my best Sally Field impersonation. But you realize that he's been in the room, and it's like, oh my God, this is brilliant. And then you dig deeper, like John said, you watch it a couple more times, and you're like, oh no, this is stupid. Was I no, oh no. Oh no, the veil's been pulled back and I realized that this is not good. Um, that being said, my score is probably going to be just a little bit higher for nostalgia's sake than it probably deserves, but we'll get there in a second. All of that to say, this movie is just, I don't know. The more, like, I guess maybe I'm older and crotchetier, and back then I was like, oh, it's so cool. He's putting these traps on people and putting them in predicaments where they have to, you know, accept their fate or, you know, come out better on the other side. And now I'm just like, ugh, dude, go get chemo and hope for the best. What are you doing? But yeah, that's Saw 2004.
And not wrong on any level, either one of you. The thing is, though, y'all thought about it way too much, I think, right? Like you even said it yourself, Kellen, from the mouth of babes. It's the Fast and Furious of horror. Are the Fast and Furious movies good? Like when you pull back and look at it like deep like that, they're not. They're entertainment. And that is the biggest issue with Saw is there's too many. But that was my biggest issue with Fast and Furious too, but I learned to love them. I think last year I watched all the Saws back to like in a week. It sucks watching them like start to finish. It's hard. It's very hard. It's just because it's so redundant. Like, he's like, how does he make all that shit? They do elaborate a little bit on that as you progress in the series, I think, but not wrong by any case. So we'll go around, give our rankings, and close up shop. I went with a 3. Mostly like Kellen said, nostalgia. I can still watch this and still enjoy it. I can still watch 2 and still enjoy it. 3, after that, X. Spiral's okay, but like, why did we need it? You know, like, I don't know if anybody else raised show of hands. Anyone else seen Spiral with fucking Chris Rock? It's so unnecessary.
I've seen the last 20 minutes for no reason.
It's so unnecessary. That was like
this part,
right? Like, and then
Keep Jigsaw's name out of your mouth.
it's just so unnecessary. But I give it a 3. It's not on the Mount Rushmore, but it's if we had like 10 Mount Rushmores, it would be on there, I think. So 3 for me. John?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like gonna be harsh with the rating. I get it. It's not, I think if you just watch it, like turn the brain off, have fun. I mean, I think it's one of those one and done movies. It represents everything I don't like about horror. It's pedestrian. It's just not, it's more about the bullshit than it is about the story and actually being something interesting. I think when Terrifier first started, that was my first concern. When I first saw that, I was like, God, not again. I was like, not again. We got away from this. So I was like, can we not go back to this? And I know,
but at least that got better, right?
It did get better, yeah. And there's I think there's things in Terrifier that absolutely work in a lot different ways in this movie. But overall, it's just, I don't know. It's just not my thing, and I just don't find much value in it. I just think it's like you see it, it's a plot twist, but when you really break it down, this guy's just an asshole with a god complex, justifying bad things. So yeah, it's a 3 out of 5. I mean, it's not a bad movie. So
I didn't see that coming.
yeah, it's a 3. I give it a 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and the biggest issue was, and you said it, it's just there were too many, and
Yeah.
they saw a cash cow and they milked the shit out of it, and they shouldn't have. X is the second or third best one of the franchise, hands down. That shouldn't be the case. If you make 9, 10 movies, some of those should be at least decent, and they're not. TJ?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with any of the negative or positive comments. Grading this as just a singular film, which I think it should have just been a singular film. As I said, I like the first three okay. After that, total dog shit. I don't like them at all, and I just quit watching after six. Um, but I'd give it a 3 out of 5. I would rank the whole franchise lower, but taking this as a single film, I think it's 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I think you should sit like that all the time. You look so much
I
cooler
was
that
gonna
way.
say the same thing. He's
Right?
like the most like relaxed person.
I don't
Like,
remember which Saw. I think it was 3D that Chester Bennington was in, and
Yeah.
I think I talked with Kellen
That's
about
the
this.
final
It was
chapter.
like
Yeah,
the
I haven't seen
anniversary
it.
of his death. Someone posted that picture of him in the car, and they said R.I.P. But do you know what happens to him while he's in that car? He RIPs his skin off his back. I'm like, I know they didn't do
Oh,
that intentionally, but
yeah.
this is fucking dark and hilarious.
Damn. Yeah.
So, all right, Kellen.
yeah, like I said, it's gonna get a little bit higher for the nostalgia because when it did come out, I did enjoy this movie. And there are movies in the genre that I do enjoy. Again, it all has to do with if there's a purpose to everything. Um, so that all that to say that it loses a half a point for um just not being great anymore. The rewatchability is just not there. Um, so I give it a 3, just like everybody else. I get its place in the horror genre. It was quote unquote revolutionary for the time. Um, I just like I said, I think it sent horror in general down a dark path, and I don't know how we get back from that because now we have A24 having butt man baby whatever things, and that's totally okay or whatever, that had birds himself out of his own butt. I don't know, remember, I don't
Oh,
even remember what
I
happened
was
at the
Man,
end,
like, what is he
but
talking
yeah,
about? I need to
we're
watch
having
that.
yeah, I mean, like that, like, oh, that's the twist that we're gonna have now is the most gory thing that we can possibly think of. And like I said, I blame this movie. I put this blame solely on this movie for making it popular to be gross.
when you talk about older A24 movies, they don't even feel like A24 movies. To me, A24 movies are the ones that you have to order from A24 exclusively, and they have the barcode on the side of the box. Like back then, like Men, even Talk to Me, and there were some others. Ex Machina, I think that was
Oh,
A24.
yeah, it was.
Like you don't think about those being A24, but they were.
Hmm.
Civil War is another great one that's recent. If you haven't seen that, all right, that gives us a 3, and I am fucking shocked. I was not expecting a 3 out of this, but I think that's more than fair. I will say hashtag Massa MASA makes Saw great again. I guess MSA makes Saw great again.
Don't
Um,
make that ass.
right, but they're making another one. I think it's got derailed recently. They're also making another Collector movie, Kellen. For you.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, but that's been in the process for a while, so who
That's
knows
been the
if it
worst
will
for like a
actually.
decade.
Anybody else
Yeah.
seen those Collector and Collection?
I've seen the first one. It was pretty cool.
I like the
I
second one,
own
the
them
nightclub
both.
scene.
I own them both. I have not watched them yet,
But
but
again, how's he
they've been
do all
on
that
my
shit?
to-do list.
The nightclub scene in that is like a version of Ghost Ship, the intro beginning of Ghost Ship on steroids.
I love
That's
that. So
Ghost
now
Ship
I
should
gotta
be in the
watch it.
bucket if it's not. All right. That's a 3 for Saul. That's it for this episode. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to wherever you're listening to this podcast. Follow us on Instagram. Join our group on Facebook that no one participates in unless someone gives away something for free signed by Ari Lehman, and then everyone comes out of the fucking woodwork and like, I'll take it, I'll take it, I'll take it. I see you. I see every one of y'all. Uh, and follow us on TikTok and Amazon Music. I know I say this a lot, but the playlist we have on Amazon Music is fantastic. It features scores. It's got the Saw theme. It's got bands that we've had and songs from the movies we've talked about. It's legit great. So check that out if you haven't. Let's do a bucket. You want to do a bucket movie
Sure.
before we?
Sounds good.
Bucket time. Bucket time. Let's see what we got here. Y'all are gonna be pleased with this one. Saw 2.
Oh,
No, I
Oh,
just,
God.
I just wrote that.
I was like, no.
I wrote that during John's rant.
No.
Is that rigged?
I'm just kidding. No, that's not wrong.
Oh,
I wrote it. All right, let's try again.
Oh, man. That'd have been funny if that was real. Wow.
Well, we're gonna have to do a third one because this is Frailty, which we just talked about with Jordan.
Oh,
I
okay.
forgot that was in
Gotta
there.
put
All
it
right.
back in the box.
Well, we didn't take it out. That's one he picked.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
really? Okay.
Mm.
I think
All right.
I put that one in the bucket.
Maybe. All right. This is a classic.
Oh,
Hey,
nice.
Okay.
Very
Keeping it
cool.
okay.
Triple horn.
I'll
Very
allow
House
it.
of a
cool.
Thousand Corpses, one of my favorite. I have like
Allow it.
4 different versions of it over here.
Very good one.
So
yeah.
come back sometime in the near future for Rob
That's
Zombie's
my
House of a
favorite
Thousand
Rob
Corpses.
Zombie movie still.
I think it's mine too, honestly.
That and Devil's Rejects is hard for me. I
Yeah,
like them
he
both.
never
It's
got
like
better than
hard.
those
Save it
first
for
two.
the episode, fellas.
Yeah. Sorry.
What'd you say, Kellen?
Save it for the episode, fellas.
Yeah, guys, come on. All right, signing off. I'm Jay with John, Kellen, and cool laid back TJ. And until next time.
Keep it spooky, folks.